my fellow comic book collectors. It's on the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Monday show where we talk about the hottest Silver Age comics of the week with my good friend Mark Olroyd from Suddenly Comics. And yeah, let's hang out and talk comics and see what's going on.
Right.
It should be a pretty good list, actually.
Well, there's some different ones on here, Alan, I've not seen before.
Okay,
Where
popular title.
All American Men of War. It's not Our Army at War.
Oh yeah, all American Men at War.
Yeah, nice cover though.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool cover.
Very striking. It's the artist. It's not. It's Rob Haney and Robert Kanigher stories. Ross Heath and Ross Andrew art. Jerry Grandanetti cover and art. First
And
appearance of Gunner and Sarge. There you go. That's all
yeah,
new to me. I've never heard of any of them. I've never heard of Jerry Grandanetti.
yeah. I mean, I think Gunner and Surge, if I'm not mistaken, are fairly major characters with Nick Fury's is Marvel. Who's Sergeant Rock?
Sergeant Rock. You think these are Sergeant Rock characters, do you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a big our Army at War or All American Men at War of War.
No, neither of us are really war comic fans, are we?
Yeah, but I've read a few. And I remember when I was reading Sergeant Rock's like first appearance, and I read the like a few in that series, and I remember there was Sarge as well as a character, but I'm not sure if it's Sarge is a pretty common
Yeah,
common name for
exactly.
military.
There's quite a few Sarges.
Yeah,
There's a Sarge in Sad Sack, but I don't suspect it's him.
yeah, that's true too. So yeah,
So $264 for a 6.0. I bet there's not many of these graded.
yeah. But it's a really cool cover.
It is
I've
a
never
cool
seen
cover. I
it.
like it. Right, so it's the first one to sell.
Ah, record. What's the
And there are only
census?
34 on the census,
Oh wow. Okay,
uh,
that doesn't bode well. Okay.
and only three at this grade. Shall we have a look at something another different grade?
Let's take a look at a slightly lower grade, maybe, and
Uh,
then compare
when was
or
the
like
last
sandwich.
sale? When apart from this one, when was the last sale of one of these? Oh, there hasn't been a sale for one of these. Oh, there's a sale of a 5.5 in 2022 for $154. So that's not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of in line, maybe a little bit
Yeah, yeah,
higher. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, so this one did well, even though both of us don't know it. And I'm gonna get like some like complaint phone call from my good friend Steven, who's like, "Don't you know this book?" Ah.
Yeah, well, he is
Um,
a bit sort of military, isn't he? He does dress up as a what did he dress up as?
warmonger.
Oh, Warmonger, that's his alternate name. Yeah, so he'll probably will tell you off for not knowing
He'll
this.
know this one. Yeah, I was never really into the war books. I only read the Sergeant Rock ones because somebody asked me a question about it, so I had to read like a bunch of Sergeant Rock ones. But they were actually well done. I mean, it was a cool story.
I picked
But
up a bunch of Sergeant Rocks at auction the other week because nobody else wanted them. I picked them up cheap. Great Joe Kubert covers.
yeah, I mean, the war ones don't do as well,
No,
though. You know, Sergeant Rock ones actually don't do that bad. Um, okay, so that's
move
it's kind of
on.
a cool. It's a different book than we've had before.
Yeah,
This
okay.
one I know a lot about.
You know a lot about this one. This is Alan's area of specialism. So tell us about this,
Yeah.
Alan.
So this is Vampirella #1. It was actually inspired by Barbarella. it was sort of like, oh, Barbarella is really, really hot. Let's make a vampire version of it. And then, so they kind of wanted something a little bit campy. And they wanted a female narrator for their stories because they had a bunch of male ones. They had Uncle Creepy and
Yeah.
uh, Cousin Eerie, and they figured a female host would be nice. So yeah, so they created Vampirella. Now this one uh is gives her origin story, but after this issue, for the next few issues, she is just a narrator.
He's
She
a
is just like
narrator.
the
Yeah.
host. Yeah, just the host for the comic.
Yeah.
It's not until issue 8 or 9 that she starts having her own stories in the comics. But yeah, just a great Frank Frazetta cover. This is the raw one. Looks kind of beat up. What grade did they say it
I'd
was?
say it's a good 2-0.
Yeah, it looks pretty beat up.
Yeah.
But it shows that it's worth a fair amount. And considering it's not graded too, you always have to take that into account.
Yeah.
Um, like I always take, if it's below $1,000, I take $50 off the price
Yeah.
for it, the cost of grading basically.
I mean, the back cover's okay.
Yeah, the front cover was a bit rough.
Yeah.
I think because of the browns, that's fairly common that it gets that kind of, it shows all the wear and tear
Yeah.
fairly.
Yeah. Yeah. It does look a bit worn. Right, $312 for a raw 2.0. So let's have a
Mhm.
look at the what a graded 2.0 will do. Okay, so graded 2.0 sold in 2023 for 425. So that's about right, Alan. If you add $50 onto that, not far off.
Yeah.
Perhaps a bit
So
low. Yeah, but not far.
yeah, but people, you take $50. That's if you know exactly that it's a 2.0. If it looks a little bit more beat up than a 2.0, then you're kind of guessing, oh, maybe it's not going to get
Maybe
that
it's get a
2.0.
1.5, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I always found Heritage, like, not to complain about Heritage too much, but I found their grading isn't the greatest. I found that they overgrade.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's in line with what you would
Yeah,
expect.
I think it's about right as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a cool book. What's the census count? I mean, I
Oh,
imagine it's
no, I
fairly high.
suspect 1,117.
Yeah, I mean, for a magazine, that's actually quite high,
Yeah, yeah,
but definitely a cool book. One that, really is, a character that Warren Publishing really, created and people love all over the world. I mean, they even like Vampirella is sold in many, many different countries. So it's a great character. It's my personal favorite female character. So
well,
yeah.
over Miss Mask.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Miss Mask is like maybe third or something around that.
okay. Who's second?
Wonder Woman.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Alan's favorite female character in
Hmm.
comics. Um, great Frank Frazetta cover. Right, okay. Let's move on. We enjoyed that one. I've never heard of this either. I had
I
heard
haven't heard of this one. But I thought, wow, it's kind of a cute good girl art comic. Pearl.
yeah, a fairly weak joke on the cover. But it is it's sexy.
The girl's good. It's Dan DeCarlo art, and that's really what people are, going to focus on, right?
Yeah, Don DeCarlo cover and art. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And what's the publisher?
Publisher is Atlas.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So this is one of the Marvel imprints.
Yeah.
Um, So at that time, Marvel was really full on Good Girl. They had like a lot of titles that were Good Girl. It was only like this is from
57, 57.
1957.
Yeah.
So this is, in that era, basically from like the mid 50s to late 50s, it was the age of good girls. Like you had like I don't know, like about, there's like Tessie the typist, Nellie the nurse, and all those ones.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they had about they most of their titles were good girl. Um and yeah, it's funny that they went from that to the superheroes again. So just interesting. But Dan DeCarlo is really collected artist, so
Right.
I think this will be a good price, but maybe not a great price.
Well, 660 for a comic I've never heard of, but it is in a 7.0 from 1957, so that sounds like quite a high grade to me, but I bet there's not hardly any of these on the census.
Yeah.
Again, Alan, you picked one where it's the only one.
It's only sale. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's only sale.
The overview.
So another
How many
massive
of
record.
these are there on the census? There's only 6 graded copies of this, Alan.
Wow.
The last one sold in 2023. It was a 5.0 and it sold for 400. So that sounds about right to me.
Again, sounds about right. Yeah. I think generally what'll end up happening is these kind of stay in that same price range. If there's, only one other to go by, they'll kind of, okay.
There's nothing higher than an 8 either.
Well, looks like there's a bunch on eBay though.
Yeah. Well, there's only 6 graded and 2 of them are on eBay.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty high price for a Silver Age Good Girl comic.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing great about it. I mean, there's not really an innuendo cover, and so it must be the artist. You're right. It must be.
Well, it is our Dan DeCarlo is very,
Yeah.
very sought after. I mean, his work on in Archie was very sexy stuff. So he has a bit of a following.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. I've heard of this one. I've got this one. Right.
This is an iconic one.
Very good. One of my favorite covers. I think. I think if you ask, if you got 100 comic collector fans in a room and got them all to write down their favorite covers, I suspect this one would be high up on the list.
Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic cover here. And this comic is almost as expensive as Silver Surfer 1.
yeah. It's the second most expensive in the run, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
John Buscema
so
cover.
Silver Surfer #4, just a really really yin and yang kind of element to it. Just a great cover.
Yeah, on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah,
That stance of Thor, such good, so good.
yeah.
John Buscema, really very good cover artist. I love his stuff that he did in the early Submariners as well. So yeah, very impressive. A great comic.
You
Very
know that this is like that, almost like getting a snapshot of a moment just before, Thor's gonna whack the Silver Surfer and the Silver Surfer's gonna whack Thor.
yeah,
It's gonna be a big clash. It's
yeah.
just a
Thor
great
is going to
moment.
get a surfboard in his mouth,
Yeah,
and Silver Surfer is going to get a hammer on his head, probably. Right.
yeah. It's awesome. Awesome cover.
Right. So 870. I think that's not quite low, Alan,
That seems really low to me. I was actually a little bit shocked by this one.
because
So
that's a really nice looking 7.0 as well.
beautiful. I mean, it is a beautiful copy. And this one is another one of these ones that's a little bit notorious for a couple problems. There is that darkness where it can get like it show like the spine ticks, but
Yeah.
also it's a square bound book. So it suffers from all the issues that you
Yeah.
experience with square bounds, where you
Yeah.
get the edges kind of messing up
Well, the
and stuff.
glue dries a bit as well. It can go wrinkly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I've actually got one sat next to me. I'm just preparing to take to send off
Did
to
you see?
BBC. Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay.
it's not as good as this. It's probably a four.
I have one right behind me, believe it or not, too.
Yeah,
so,
it's a
so it's like
must-have for comic collectors.
it is. It's like it's one of the best covers.
Right.
Um,
Let's see. I think that's cheap, Alan.
it
Eight.
seems cheap. I remember how much I paid for mine. I think this seemed, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, actually, if you look at the price,
No, I mean this has held
is it
up.
part of that?
If you look pre-COVID, it was a $500, and it's come down since the COVID peak, of course, but it's way up on its pre-COVID price.
Yeah, yeah.
So in reality, this is doing quite well. The only caution here is this doesn't look as if it's stopped falling yet.
It has that kind of still downward trend look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What was the last sale before this one?
Uh, 870.
So it is still tumbling.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I mean, it's probably going to settle somewhere in between where it is now and that pre-COVID price.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
it's just logical that it's. But yeah, I thought it was a great book. I was a little surprised by the price. I would have thought this was more in that $1,000 price, but at this
Yeah,
grade.
yeah. There's
But
quite a few of these, though, I think. Yeah, 5,625.
wow.
So it's not
Okay.
a rare comic.
Yeah. But that's in line with most Marvel books, that 5,000 number.
Yeah,
Um,
compared to My Girl Pearl, which has only got 6 on census.
yeah. This is one of those ones where you don't have to buy it now. There's no FOMO thing where with the My Girl Pearl, except for the fact there's 2 on eBay now. Um, normally it's something you wouldn't see that often. This you can pick it up whenever you want.
Well, Silver Surfer is relatively hot at the moment because of the Fantastic Four
It's
film.
Yeah, but my point is
I
that
have
it's
noticed Silver
it's
Surfer appearing on various comic
on
lists.
the hot list.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I mean by that is that it's an easier comic to find. If you need to find it, you can
Oh
you
yes,
can find
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, there's fight that. Yeah, you don't. If you don't buy the one there, there'll be another one coming up tomorrow. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's like Hulk 181. You're never gonna be short of finding a copy.
Hmm. And that because of that commonality of it or commonness of it, um, it makes it, little less, you know, hot, I guess. It makes it so that you don't have these kind of crazy spikes in price.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Right, what have we got next, Alan? It's a lovely pink cover.
Yeah, this is one. I always love this one.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily like pink covers per se. And this is a really odd pink. It's like like almost like fluorescent pink. But I actually love this cover. I always thought it was a fun cover. Um, and it is the first appearance in the Silver Age of the Riddler. So
yeah, it is. That's why it's a key comic.
yeah,
The
Batman
Silver Age appearance of
171.
Riddler, from 1965.
Hmm.
And it's the plot in this is based on the TV show. Um,
Yeah, you can tell just by the style of his costume and
yeah, yeah, yeah. So nice comic. It's been a key for ages. How much did this sell for? In an 8.0, that's quite a high grade. Well, nearly $2,000. Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, that's actually a fairly low price. If this was a Marvel book, I'd be like so much more.
yeah.
Um,
Let's have a
but
look. 8.0. Again, this one is interesting, Alan.
yeah,
Pre-COVID, this was $1,000 book. It's now a $2,000 book.
so it's
So
done
although
well.
it's off its COVID peak, of course, it's way up on what it was pre-COVID.
Yeah, actually, what is the COVID peak?
The COVID peak
3,000.
is 3.2, nearly
Okay.
3.3. Yeah.
So I mean, this one, didn't like if you look at the COVID bumps for most Marvel books, it's like a really high mountain
Yeah.
and then the fall.
Yeah.
Like this is a bit of a jump, but it's not nearly as big as what you see in the Marvel
No,
ones.
and
So
the
I think
fall, and I think it's this is these are interesting. We've seen a few of these, Alan, where these
Mhm.
some of these keys, although they're off their COVID
Peak.
peak, they're way above where they were pre-COVID. It's almost like they've had a revaluation, and because they are keys, and people buy
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great book. And I can't imagine it having that high of a census. I mean, maybe 2000. I'm gonna guess 2000. What's your guess?
Okay.
Or maybe 1,000 actually. I go look more conservative.
I don't know. I think no. This is during the Batman TV show. I think the print runs.
Oh, you're
I'm
right.
going.
You're the
I'm
one that
going. I'm going 3. Oh no, you're nearly right, Alan. 2. Yeah,
yeah.
1.7. Yeah.
I was saying like yeah, 1 or 2, yeah. So but yeah, I mean this is during that peak time for Batman collectors, and you were looking at the returns from that
Yes.
era,
Yeah.
and
And
and it was very low, low return
yeah.
rate.
So before the TV show returns, sort of like 50 to 80%. During the TV show, returns drop to about 20%.
Yeah, I mean that's really good. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't believe that the returns were like 70-80% before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
What a waste of paper.
Quite a lot of comics were like, it wasn't just Batman, it was just how they worked. It was the newsstand thing. They sent them out to the newsstands. If they didn't sell, they sent them back and they pulped them.
Wow. Wow. That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I mean, I thought, this is a good one. It's a really great pink cover. Now on your list, this is the last from my list. On your list, we actually have some pretty cool books. One I know you'll love extra more. But this is the first appearance of my new glasses, by the way.
That
Um,
makes you look very intelligent, Alan.
yeah, it's deceptive. So, so yeah,
So,
so
what's happened to the contact lenses?
well, because scheduling issues with my partner in crime, I only got like 1 hour of sleep last night. So
Oh, okay.
contacts weren't happening. So-
Right. Okay. Yes. All right. Let's move on rapidly. I think.
Okay, so bye everyone. Oh, by the way, before I let everyone go on my channel, um, when you watch this, this will be the last opportunity to support my Kickstarter.
Oh, good
Uh,
point.
my Kickstarter ends at 1 p.m. Eastern today, so that's
Wow.
it.
Okay.
After that, it's done. There is an option to extend. We're not taking that option. This is it. This is the last chance. Support it now if you really want to support this channel, support the world. It's for world peace. This is the time for world peace and supporting my channel and supporting my comic to support my Kickstarter. The link is in the description. It's a great comic for Golden Age Vixens. So check it out. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Bye for now,
Go and
guys.
support it. I've done my bit.
Okay.
Right. See you next week.